What if there existed a book that could prevent an unlawful arrest for failing to identify? Or, in the event of an unlawful arrest, one that will virtually guarantee a win in court? What would that book be worth? Guess what?
Wanted all black male, 10-5 from this location, 600. Yep, body camera was on. I won't turn it off till we're inside the jail and those cameras are on. That'll just protect both of us, right? Interfering with police? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Not identifying yourself? When you're acting suspicious, under Terry versus Ohio, if there's a reasonable suspicion that a crime has been, or might be committed, you can be detained and placed in investigative detention. Once you're placed in investigative detention, you have to identify yourself. If you don't, you can be charged with interfering with police.
Stop! Enough! If you're going to pick up the mantle of street activism and go into the lion's den where the cops hang out, you are going to get mauled, just like Trey. You cannot go into this half-cocked. You cannot go into it without knowing the law and the things that you need to say to counter the bullshit. And one of the things I'm going to get into here, suspicion, is that a felony or misdemeanor? And you all say it, and you all get it wrong because it doesn't work. And I'll show you, I will explain to you why it doesn't work and a better tack to take when you start hearing this bullshit from these cops. But keep in mind, this is about failing to ID and being arrested for it when in fact they cannot articulate a crime. So it doesn't matter if you're doing street activism or you're an innocent passenger in a car or an innocent pedestrian on the sidewalk. Terry v. Ohio and Brown v. Texas. Those are the two case laws that you need to know. Certainly it starts with Terry, but Brown v. Texas comes along and it actually reinforces Terry. So you've got two solid data points in both Terry and Brown where it is clear that they cannot lawfully detain and then demand identification based upon mere suspicion. Understand this whole thing about you're suspicious or suspicious activity. The cops, first and foremost, are not the final word on what is suspicious. And second is, what is suspicious to one person can very well be just everyday life to someone else. Are you getting a sense of how easy it is to destroy cops and prosecutors and judges in name only when it comes to this? Oh yeah, you were suspicious. What does that mean? Oh, how about we turn to a dictionary? Let's take a look. The definition of suspicious or suspicion. Suspicious of about somebody something. A feeling. Are you feeling me now, guys? A feeling that someone has done something wrong, illegal, or dishonest. And here's the cherry on the top, without having any proof. It's a feeling without proof. What does Terry and what does Brown require? Articulation of a specific crime. You cannot articulate anything specific with a feeling that has no proof behind it. And have them read it out loud to make sure that everybody hears it and it gets into the court record. You're going to end their career simply by doing that. Well, maybe not, but they're going to wish they had never gone into law enforcement. Reasonable suspicion. Facts and circumstances. Facts and circumstances. Feelings aren't facts. That would lead a reasonable person to believe that a particular person has, is, or is about to commit a specific crime. 6 common errors police officers make, resulting in unconstitutional stops and detentions are, remember, this is in the book, Oathbreakers Part 2. Number 1, detaining upon what? Mere suspicion alone. Number 2, detaining because the officer received a call for service without reasonable suspicion of a crime. Number 3, detaining because the officer or reporting party did not like what the person was doing, even though the activity was lawful at the time. Number 4, detaining based upon a hunch, gut feeling, or to conduct a fishing expedition. Number 5, detaining, hoping to find a reason to detain. Listen for this in the videos that you peruse from now on. You're detained until we can figure out what's going on. See, that's the convenience of a detention versus an arrest. They have to articulate a specific crime before they detain. It's not a matter of you're detained until we figure what out. Figure what out? I mean, how long is that detention supposed to last? There's nothing to investigate. And then number 6, detaining solely upon a happenstance of geography, where a person happens to occupy an area with a known history of criminal activity. You're in a high crime area. How do you know that? How do we know every place that's so-called high crime area? And what's to keep the officer from just making that up?
Have I done anything wrong?
Well, you're recording a suspicious activity, which puts this into a category of suspicious activity, which means under Terry versus Ohio, I can detain you until I can determine or deny that there's any criminal activity going on.
It's not enough for reasonable cause.
There's already a call on it, so yes, it would.
Is that a felony or misdemeanor?
Is that a felony or a misdemeanor? Well, let's see how well it works.
That's a misdemeanor.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I can't believe you just sat here and lied.
Yep, go ahead and give me your ID for me, please.
Can you supervise to the scene?
I am a supervisor.
I need another one.
Okay.
I need a lieutenant or somebody else.
Okay. 301-315. He's requesting a supervisor.
Well, that's pretty much it for Trey. You hit him with is that a felony or misdemeanor? When the guy comes back with, yeah, it's a misdemeanor, you notice that Trey is quiet.
Above me.
Actually, I'll go and do this type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I mean, if you're not doing any criminal activity, there's nothing to worry about.
So why are you asking me my ID?
Because you're not answering me, and when you're not answering me, how do I know you're not filming this parking lot to come shoot it up?
This is a fishing expedition. You see how it works?
It's Fifth Amendment, right?
So I can check on that if it's suspicious, and part of that checking is to identify you. So if I can get your ID.
Suspicious, a felony or misdemeanor?
Well, there's a second one. Let's see if he has any better luck this time.
Hey, sir.
Again.
Name, badge number? Sergeant Forrester, 301. How you doing?
Good. How can I help you?
Well, he contacted me. He wants my ID for no reason, so I need a supervisor to let him know that, without any crime being committed, I don't have to give him my ID.
Well, he actually got a call on you.
Well, what crime have I committed?
Well, anytime somebody calls in and reports suspicious activity,
It's suspicion of felony or misdemeanor.
it's neither one, but he asked
Okay, thank you. So he said it.
Well, the third time he said that wasn't the charm, was it? So he said it 3 times to 2 different officers, and has it worked? You know what that second officer said? He said, well, no, it's neither, but he asked for your ID. Okay, and there it is. It doesn't work. Why? The officers are coming at Trey with, well, you're suspicious. This is suspicious activity. Somebody called. You're suspicious because somebody called. He's not moved the needle off of that suspicious activity. You have to get them off of suspicious activity. You have to address the fact that this whole thing is based upon them not knowing Terry and not knowing Brown. So the best tact is to tell them that's not the legal test. Not according to Terry, not according to Brown. You're supposed to know this stuff, officer. I mean, it's law enforcement 101. It's bread and butter. How come I have to explain it to you? And you know what else the courts threw in? In addition to mere suspicion, you don't detain off of hunches, gut feelings, or to conduct fishing expeditions. And right now you're doing all 4 of those to me. I can't wait for you to make a false arrest, and I'm going to drag you in front of a jury, and they're going to watch your body cam and my video. And guess what? You just made yourself look really stupid But the civilian knew the law and you didn't. Congratulations. You're probably not going to get fired if you make a false arrest. But you do something that stupid in front of a jury and a judge, you might as well wish you had never gotten into law enforcement. I want to wrap up with 2 quick points. You notice he was charged with interfering? How come interfering? How come he wasn't charged with something as clear-cut as failing to ID? See, this is the shell game that we see all the time with these sleazy cops and sleazy prosecutors. There is no law that says, well, upon suspicion, we get to demand ID. If you don't ID, we get to arrest you for... No, that law doesn't exist, and they know that. You got to nail them down to, okay, you said I was suspicious, yes or no? Yeah. And then you demanded my ID. Yeah. And then you arrested me because I didn't ID. Yeah. And you arrested me for the specific charge of interfering. Yeah. What was the crime before you detained me? What was the crime that would have authorized you to detain me? Because this interfering stuff's on the back half. It's on the back half. You didn't ID, so it's interfering. But what about the front half? He wasn't required to ID. And now you get into the exclusionary rule and all that other stuff and junk. Guys, I want to wrap it with this. In Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2, pages 161 to 164, is the blueprint for beating these jerk, idiot cops and stupid-ass prosecutors when they make and prosecute these charges with failing to ID when in fact there was no crime to justify the demand for ID, right, in the first place. In those 4 pages, 161 to 164, I have provided every citizen in the United States of America 30 questions, 1 through 30, and they're done in the proper order, the proper sequence, that you can use whether it's pro se, you represent yourself, or you can hand to your defense attorney. It's been done. You get done asking those 30 questions that I have scripted right in the book, and you will walk out a champ. And that's why I wrote it, and that's why I promote it. It's right there. What you need to know has been provided, and you didn't have to spend thousands of dollars and thousands of hours like I did, because I love you guys. I love you guys. We have to take back our country from these law enforcement. Rise of the Oathbreakers Part 2. Pick up a copy, read it, learn, and let's go out and kick some ass.